All right, rolling. The most significant things in my life have happened when I saw that this is who I was. I do this a lot. This is who I am, and this is who the world told me I ought to be, and this is the way I was living. And in the gap was created not only health problems, but relationship problems and career problems and whatever. And when you kind of just end the resistance to who you are, come what may, no matter what you think the consequences are of that's going to happen to the world. Well, never really what you think is going to happen. But when you allow that gap to close, then you get to navigate the world as yourself. And the tagline is closing the gap between who you truly are and who the world told you you ought to be for your greatest level of health, happiness, and human potential. And it works in all those areas. That's what gave me my health back when I stopped, because in the gap is resistance, constant fight or flight, constant hypervigilance for what do people think about me, or, you know, my symptoms, you know, like what's wrong with me or what's coming, especially like in this day and age, you know, right now, coronavirus, oh my gosh, hypervigilance, whatever. We're crippling our immune systems by watching the news and being hypervigilant about what's going on and what's coming, when if we just look around ourselves, there's nothing right now to be worried about. Like in our environments, we're all in our homes where there's peace and tranquility and food and shelter and all that stuff. And if something should happen, you know, if you should get a bang or a biff or a coronavirus or a cough or a cold, you'll know what to do best as this, and not going through life and trying to navigate the situation as two people. You know, this is where the answers will be, no matter what's going on. So that's health, happiness. You know, what gives us our happiness? Our interpersonal connection, especially with ourselves, but with everybody else. In relationships, we try so hard to navigate as two people who we truly are and who the world told us we ought to be. And we go through life efforting as who we think we ought to be and relating to other people and who we were told how we would, you know, we read books on how to create connection, and we take programs on how to create connection and how to fix our marriages and how to fix our relationships with our kids and interpersonal conflict, whatever. You don't need any of that when you don't give a rat's ass about what people think about you. All those books are written because someone else is telling you their great idea of how you should do it because it worked for them, but you're not them. So even if you memorize the book and live that way, you're always going to be just a little bit off. Human potential, our career moves. You know, this was my big one last year, which kind of led to the idea for this course. I got it in my health, I got it in my happiness, but I was still splitting myself. I had Karen DiMarco. There was The Naked Lady, which was my anonymous blog where I could, you know, speak my truth, but nobody would know it was me. Because if they really, you know, if I was swearing or talking about my period blowout or, you know, my major fails with my kids and parenting and just that honest stuff, then people might not hire me for coaching, you know, because if they knew who I really was, then maybe they wouldn't, well, I'm not going to hire that screw up. You know, she's struggling herself. And through that program, Emerging Voices, I thought, oh, it's not, my voice doesn't need to emerge, it needs to merge. You know, there's the Naked Lady persona, there's this professional getcare.com, you know, patient advocate coach persona, and then there's Karen DiMarco in the middle, the mom, the wife, the daughter, the friend. And then it was like, I'm killing the Naked Lady, I'm killing this Get Care thing, and I'm just going to be Karen DiMarco. And all of a sudden, my career, my human potential has started to take off in ways that, I mean, that's not like I'm, you know, on Oprah or anything like that, but it's just like stuff is happening and I don't have to navigate it as this person or as this person. It's just me. It's my failures. It's my successes. It's not this person's failure or this person's failure. And it's all one thing. But the people right here who were for some reason attracted to the naked community are the people that I can take a piss with on the phone. But the most important thing is to know how your mind and body and spirit work interconnectedly. there have been times in my life that closing the gap seems like it feels good. You know, navigating by who you truly are is going to feel like I mistakenly thought that it's always going to feel good, you know, like your instincts. But now I know that it doesn't always feel good. And sometimes you even suffer, and it's scary to navigate the world as you truly are and what you know to do. When you forget what the experts are saying, and when you forget what your family is trying to drag in you, and you forget, you know, whatever, and there's a truth in all of us. It doesn't always feel good, but it always feels true. Yeah, I think I've just talked too long, and now I'm squirreling off, and I'm going to open it up to you guys. Welcome to the show. You can say shameful, disgusting, you know, your most embarrassing, your most human moments. You can totally, having a group where you can practice closing your gap and feeling safe doing it, and kind of strengthen that muscle and get used to the feeling for an hour or so, you know, a couple times a month, getting used to the feeling of your gap being closed and what that feels like in a safe environment, and then going forth into the world, you know, and practicing it more there.
I just love you, Karen. I love your humor. I love the way you're just raw. I love the way you just talk, and then you go, I love you all.
Stop there.
Yeah, but I was on the waitlist course with you. I think was it October last year, and I don't know. It just seemed to get more connected with me. You know, the real me, and there something about that just felt right. And so I just want more of that.
Well, if you ever want, you know, the more you hang around me, the more you'll learn to speak and end your sentences in semicolons instead of periods too. But I want this to be a place where we can bring our questions. That's why we have the Facebook group. I mean, you know, I hate the Facebook community, but it is really a useful tool where we can all ask questions, naked questions that you would be afraid to ask anywhere else because you're afraid you'd feel stupid, or does this ever happen to anyone? Like, I want that to be the kind of place where, oh my gosh, you know, you guys have all, this is a weird thing. You've probably all heard my shit in a cup story, but if you haven't, I'm sure I'll tell it again at some point. But things you could put like, oh my gosh, you guys, this is what just happened to me. Closing the gap, practicing being human. But I find that for all of us, you know, the more we merge our voices, the more that we close our gap, you might shut off some people in your life. You might piss some people off. You know, I heard somebody say once that your friends are God's way of making up for your family or something like that. You know, you can't pick the people who you were born into life with, but you can, in being yourself, you tend to attract the exact right people that will love and adore you, you know, unconditionally.
Oh, just it's fine. It'll be all right. And it will. Everything always works out. But actually, we've only got this one chance to do something weird. So we may as well just do it.
Here's what you got. You got a mind, body, spirit. You got a nervous system that needs to go from sympathetic to parasympathetic a couple times a day. You need to get into that relaxation response, that rest and digest. So that alpha state, alpha brainwave state. We'll geek out on all this stuff. It's going to be fun. But, you know, a couple times a day, your body naturally, well, it naturally goes there in the ultradian rhythm. Again, another thing that we'll talk. It wants to go there, but we keep it in the sympathetic, constantly going all the time. And then we think, oh, then we get anxious about our anxiety, right? We get anxious, oh, I'm in a fight or flight response too much. Now I have to fix that and do it this way because this guy said. But if you forget all that stuff, you find yourself doing those things in your day anyway. And when you know what you got and how it works, you can flag it. Oh my God, I'm meditating every time I walk my dog and nobody told me to. And this is my way. This is my way to support it. And that's so empowering. I could go write a book on walking dog meditations, but then if somebody read my book and implemented that, they'd always be a little bit off because it's not their way.
Hmm.
So I love what you were saying, you know, like, but once you see what you got and how it works, then you can start seeing the things that you're already doing in your life that support it. You can try mine out that I suggest or whatever, or just go, oh, okay, I see now why you're doing it that way. I'm going to come up with my own, or I'm going to even recognize how I'm already doing my own in my life. And once you focus your attention on that, it's like that study with the hotel maids. I think it was out of Harvard. I could find it for you guys. But they took 2 sets of hotel maids. One hotel, they simply told the maids how everything they were doing, the vacuuming, the cleaning, the folding, the making the beds and whatever, was far exceeding the Surgeon General's recommendation for exercise, daily exercise. And then the control group, they just monitored them. They didn't give them any more information. But neither of one of the groups, either the experimental group or the control group, stopped what they were doing. But the experimental group, over the course of 30 days, their blood pressure went down. They all lost weight. They all increased life satisfaction scores, only by the information that what they were doing far exceeded. So they were told they were exercising and then received the benefits of exercise without changing the way they lived at all, just the information. So that's what I'm kind of talking about. When you see what you got and how it works, then you start to pay attention to the stuff that you're already doing in your life. And that will change the benefit. That will give you greater benefit of what you're already doing. Well, do you find it confusing? Like, if it weren't for everybody else's opinion, if, like, you know, if you didn't give a rat's patootie what everybody else thought or what was confusing to everybody else, would it be just fine that you were different with different people? I used to think that I wasn't being genuine, and then I saw you can't ever not be an authentic expression of yourself in the moment. I mean, we are where we are when we are, you know, and I think it's just being that split personality every once in a while, who's, you know, this way with one person and this way with another. That is an authentic version of you in the moment. And once you kind of stop judging that, once I stopped judging that I was this way with this person and this way, oh, that something's off and I should love myself enough to be one thing and whatever. No, I think that's kind of just nature makes you that way. You know, maybe it's something deep and survivally, you know, you had to be one way with Ankh and another way with, you know, the women of the tribe or whatever. I don't know, but it's when the only way we judge ourselves for changing personality is because somebody said that wasn't right. Yeah. What if you were just watching yourself be different with different people? And that could be kind of, wow, I'm an actor. I mean, you know, I'm a thespian. That's one way to look at it. That's like, you know, totally cool. And wow, you're talented. And then another way to look at it is like, you're inauthentic and there's something wrong with you. So it's just food for thought. Like, there's no rules, but there is kind of this, you know, this kind of, there's like a homeostasis to being yourself and having tact too. Like there's like this middle ground, this balance that that I found is kind of that thing between what feels good. Sometimes holding back feels good. Sometimes shoving it in somebody's face feels good, but it doesn't always feel true. You know, and it's that difference between what feels good and what feels true, because what feels true, I think if you can learn to navigate your life more about what feels true, that's all there is really. That's true north. It's your GPS, you know. Now my glossary of terms will come. Antra and I have talked about this before. Permalit is somebody who's permanently enlightened. And I think that happens when somebody's gap goes and it stays that way for the rest of their life. Most of us are templates, temporarily enlightened, and their gap closes and opens and gap. Like, does that the rest of your life, you know? Template. Chicklet is an enlightened female. Testiclet is an enlightened male. Or no, someone said dicklet. Anyway, I think we have the rest of our lives. It's more of an exploration of what the gap even is.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm making it up that there is one, but and we also make up what closing the gap feels like, like, oh, like you said, I have a migraine. That must be mean my gap is open somewhere. Well, maybe you just have a migraine.
Yeah.
Trying to find reasons for things and whatever. That's also kind of ripe for exploration too.
Because within me, I could feel so strongly that I had been living my life in a way that was, well, not who I really am. Living apart from a part of me that was I was missing. So it's not that I kind of realized that last night, but I think that what happened was just the moment came and it was like a big explosion. So I felt, yes, I'm coming.
I love those ones.
To explore this further. And because I was really laughing last night as well, and I thought there'll be a lot of laughing here.
Like my whole life, really, I tried so hard to be what people wanted me to be. If I was the OR nurse, I was the OR nurse. If I was the, mom, I was the mom. And oh man, I tried really hard in the mom department, like to the point of really like snot and puddles on the floor trying. And after all of these, after seeing some of this stuff, it's like, oh, well, I have a voice. Like, I know I have a voice and I want to share that voice. And I think that's where if there's a gap, that's where it is for me. It's like, how do I share that voice with the world?
Is how I want to end, because I think it's so apropos for not only this course, but this time that we're living in. But my real job is, and this is why I need your help, to tell people that death does not exist. It is very important that mankind knows this, for we are at the beginning of a very difficult time, not only for this country, but for the whole planet Earth, because of our own destructiveness, because of nuclear weapons, because of our greediness and materialism, because we are piggish in terms of ecology, because we have destroyed so many, many natural resources, and because we have lost all genuine spirituality. I'm exaggerating, but not too much. The only thing that will bring about the change into a new age is that the earth is shaken, that we are shaken, and we are going to be shaken. We have already seen the beginning of it. You have to know not to be afraid. Only if you keep a very, very open channel, an open mind, and no fear will great insight and revelations come to you. They can't happen to all of you. You do not have to have a guru. You do not have to go to India. You don't even have to take a TM course. You don't have to do anything except learn to get in touch, in silence, within yourself. Get in touch within your own inner self and learn not to be afraid. One way to not be afraid is to know that death does not exist, that everything in this life has a positive purpose. Get rid of all your negativity and begin to view life as a challenge, a testing ground of your own inner resources and strength. There are no coincidences. God is not a punitive, nasty God. After you make the transition, then you come to what has been described as heaven.